All of the Harry Potter main characters have one or two iconic scenes that show who they are, but always there are some happy moments and sad moments. Nothing could be so perfect. So each of the characters have went through both light and dark times. This is the subject of today's video. What was the happiest and saddest moment of each of these 10 characters? So let's get into it. Sirius Black. The saddest moment of Sirius is when he arrived to the Potter's house, finding his two best friends dead, learning later that their friend was the betrayer. Sirius obviously couldn't control himself. Being framed of the murder was the worst part. Sirius was stuck with nothing to do. He knew deep down that he was innocent, and that he will serve a long time in the most horrible place in the wizarding world, Azkaban. The happiest moment of Sirius is when he bravely thought he'd be a free man again. Sirius was thinking of murdering Peter. That was the plan that had been on his head since being sent to Azkaban, but Harry assured him that it's not worth it. Sirius' moment of believing he would be freed from Azkaban and known as an innocent is a shining light of hope, and his conversation with Harry says it all. Ginny Weasley. The happiest moment of Ginny is her making the Quidditch team. Ginny Weasley is a character who deserved more development than she got, but her happiest moment seems to be when she won the Quidditch pitch. When Harry, along with Fred and George, received a lifelong Quidditch ban from Umbridge, Ginny tried out for the team and became the new Seeker. Ginny has always been dreaming of becoming a Quidditch player since she was a child. Despite the majority of her brothers being keen Quidditch players, Ginny wasn't allowed to play with them when she was a child. When she was 6, she began a habit of breaking into the family broom shed and taking each of their brooms out in turn. So Ginny becoming a Quidditch hero must have been her happiest moment, and she really excelled in that. The saddest moment of Ginny is her understandable sadness at not being able to go with Harry for Hent Horcruxes. Ginny, who was most of the times around the trio, even in some dangerous occasions, felt disappointed for not being allowed to accompany her friends. And what makes it worse is the fact that Harry broke up with her during that period. It was a tough time for Ginny. Hagrid. Hagrid's happiest moment is getting the baby dragon Norbert. Hagrid's real joys in life were acquiring and caring for dangerous magical creatures, and nothing was more exciting for him than getting his own baby dragon. However, while losing Norbert was upsetting, his saddest moment was when he was expelled from Hogwarts for opening the Chamber of Secrets, which he didn't do. He was only in his 3rd year at Hogwarts. Being sent to a tragic place so young must have been the worst. Also being cut off from the ability to use magic at the age of 13, so even after being released, his only option to remain close to the wizarding world is to remain at Hogwarts. However, he at least finds joy in his role as a gamekeeper and eventually a professor. Neville Longbottom. Neville's happiest moment is when he killed Nagini and destroyed Voldemort's last Horcrux. Neville has one of the most beloved parts in the series, because he goes from being a bullied and insecure young student to a confident and capable young adult. Neville having his hand to cause Voldemort's downfall was one of his best moments, finally proving everyone wrong and showing the world how brave and fierce he is. In return, his saddest moment was when the fate of his parents is revealed, and the trio saw just how difficult Neville's life was. Neville's parents were tortured by Death Eaters into sanity, and Neville was so heartbroken to see them that way, not even able to recognize their only son. Neville really wished his parents were there to see him, and they for sure would be so proud of him. Luna Lovegood. Luna is another person who isn't always appreciated by her peers. She was most of the time seen as weird and crazy, and people often called her loony. Luna was usually lonely with no friends, so the happiest moment Luna had was making friends with those in Dumbledore's army, which means the world to her. Luna was finally able to make friends who appreciate her and share the same interest. In return, Luna was very loyal to her friends and stood side by side with them. However, the saddest moment is when she was held in the cellar at Malfoy Manor as a prisoner. On her way home over the Christmas holidays, Death Eaters captured Luna because her father had been printing stories in support of Harry. Her father was so desperate to get her back that he tried to turn Harry, Hermione and Ron over to the Ministry in exchange for her freedom. But luckily, after some time, she was rescued by the help of Harry and Dobby, and she was transported to safety. Severus Snape. Snape is just one of the many main characters who had a rough and rather abusive childhood, so his friendship with Lily really became his happiest moment. While being hated by his father and watching his parents fight with one another, Lily was the only person who brought light and acceptance to him. The two bonded quickly and developed interest in each other. Snape had a crush on Lily, while Lily regarded him as a close friend. In return, the saddest moment that happened to him was her death, something Snape couldn't handle at all. Although she left him and married a man he always hated, Snape's love for Lily was endless. What makes things worse is that Snape was the reason why she was killed by Voldemort, so this moment was full of devastation and heartbreaking to Snape. Lord Voldemort. Voldemort's happiest moment must have been when he uses Harry's blood and some other disturbing ingredients to have Peter bring him back to his body. It's a truly upsetting scene and one that cannot be forgotten. After years of living like a shadow and his soul being ripped off, Voldemort finally returned to his human form, more powerful than ever. There was nothing that could make him happier. And of course the saddest moment should be his death. After all these years of trying to be immortal, after many kills, many souls spilled, and many Horcruxes created, everything ends with the way it was expected to be. Ron Weasley. One of Ron's most purely happy moments is when he helps the Gryffindor team secure the win as a keeper and gets the attention he needed. Ron, who was insecure and not sure whether he's good enough at Quidditch, finally believed in himself and proved the haters wrong. Not to forget, in the very beginning during his first year at Hogwarts, Ron saw himself in the mirror of Erised as a captain of Gryffindor Quidditch team. The reason for that is because Ron was always in the shadow of his oldest brothers. Whatever he does good, they already did what's better. And while he didn't become a captain, he at least helped the team win the House Cup, which was something he always dreamed of. But you never win a war without paying the price. His brother Fred died during the Battle of Hogwarts, something Ron was so devastated about. And it could be said that this is the saddest moments of Ron. It's something that was never easy to forget. Hermione Granger. The happiest moment of Hermione is her saving lives using the Time Turner. Hermione and Harry were so devastated by what had happened, and luckily Dumbledore guided Hermione to use the Time Turner. This enabled them to save Buckbeak from certain death and give Sirius his freedom, as he was indeed an innocent soul. Hermione, who was using the Time Turner most of the times during the school year, thought that using it to save lives is more important, and that was the happiest moment she ever had. And it's rather heartbreaking to see her have to erase her parents' memories in order to help Harry on his quest, and that was the saddest moment for her. Both of these moments show that Hermione is one of the most steadfast and loyal characters in the story. She's always willing to use her considerable talents, intelligence, and judgment to help others and do what needs to be done. At times, this leads to happiness and joy, and other times, they can be difficult to be responsible and reliable in this way. And finally, Harry Potter. Harry's introduction as the main character shows a child who has lived a very difficult life, so when he's given an escape into a world where things are magical and he's special, it's no wonder he's thrilled. This could be Harry's happiest moment, finally someone offering him to go to a place where he belongs, where his parents and his whole family used to be in. Must have been a dream coming true to Harry, especially considering how awful the Dursleys were to him and the very unhappy childhood he spent at Fort Privet Drive. In return, Harry's saddest moments all have to do with losing so many people he cares about, especially his parents, Sirius, Fred, Dumbledore, and so many more. What makes things worse again is that Harry always blamed himself for their death and lived on with guilt and regret. It's tragic that despite entering into a new world that gives him an escape from the terror of the Dursleys, Harry never really gets to know much peace or calm. He's tasked with dealing with Voldemort and eventually saving the Wizarding World. Along the way, his path becomes pretty lonely.